Hello everyone, my name is Maura Matheny and I'm Assistant Professor, Pastry Chef and Chocolatier at the College of Food Innovation and Technology. This is my presentation for Session 4, the +1 Solutions Story, Part 3, UDL Engagement as a Lens. This exercise will help me identify course flaws in my target class and use +1 UDL Solutions to remove the identified barriers. My focus course is BPA 4710. This is Advanced Petit Gâteau and Pastry Buffet, known as Senior Buffet in our college. It is the capstone in the Baking and Pastry Bachelor's of Science degree. This course is a 6-hour hands-on lab with a flipped classroom model for its academic content. Students work 6 hours on practical application of concepts and skill mastery, and then focus on the academic exercises at home before returning the following day to apply those principles in our hands-on model. This being a student-driven class, engagement, motivation, relevance, none of them have ever been an issue. This is skills, and they're directly applied to their current or future industry jobs. The course design focuses on identifying and filling gaps in their practical knowledge. There is a ton of one-on-one feedback, and there's cooperative production for the first half of the class before the students design their own pastries to present at a buffet at the end of the class. The barrier or sticking point in my class is the academic content. Ultimately, I have quizzes and a summative final along with reading and PowerPoints, and none of that follows the same fashion or spirit of this course. Because of the outdated format and the lackluster of it, my students focus little to no energy on these components, and they miss out on a lot of theory and detail that would in the end make their hands-on skills even better. I want to find a way to make this academic content and summative exam a little more relevant and a little more exciting so the students see the value in it. But ultimately, I want to design it so that it engages them, it supports their learning, and it is a little more customized to my diversified learners. I've identified 2 UDL engagement guidelines that I feel would help me eliminate this barrier in my target course. They are 7.1, Optimizing Individual Choice and Autonomy, and 7.2, Optimizing Relevance, Value, and Authenticity. I chose to use the design aspects of 7.1 to create a new way for students to guide themselves through the academic content in my course, identifying gaps in their understanding the way they do with the practical components, and allowing them to choose their own tools for gathering the information needed to fill those gaps. I want to apply the principles from 7.2 checkpoint to create a more relevant version of my existing summative final and allow for more authentic method for my students to show comprehension by emphasizing the purpose of the assessment so it's clear to all of my participants. This new final would be delivered in several parts, each delivered in a different way, so it will not only vary to the type of knowledge it measures, but in how it gauges comprehension. This format, I feel, will better serve the larger variety of my diversified learners in my class. The focus of the checks for comprehension, regardless of design, will be delivered heavily formative and scaffolded. So what would this look like? Replacing the final with a multi-part check for understanding would start each block of new content with a short list of questions that the student should be able to talk about or answer once the concept is grasped. If the student already grasps this concept from previous knowledge, work experience, or education, then they can move on. If not, the question will be accompanied by links of resources to help the student fill that gap and try the question again. The information links can take forms such as page numbers to our pastry reference course book, which would be reading about the topic in a pastry viewpoint, numbers that reference our science textbook so they can read about the concept from a science viewpoint, slide numbers from our class PowerPoint that would provide more pictorial option for the content, or they can opt to, after using one of those options, talk to the professor one-on-one about the subject in class the next day so we can go over how it applies to production and practical application. I will test for understanding during the lab. The students will be asked questions that connect to the academic portions they went over, and this can also take many formats. We can look at the math work as formula conversions, explanations of chemical reactions in the actual production, calculations of temperature in the cooling process, or methods of preparation. An option can also remain on the formative nature of these, that they can submit alternative responses as reflections, theoretical methods of prep modifications, or even just a quick presentation if the concept wasn't grasped when assessed. So what have I learned? Why have I chosen this? And how does it embody UDL? Well, I've learned that my summative exam does not correspond to any of my course objectives. So ultimately, if I can get the syllabus changed, I will be removing this from this class. We do enough assessment in this class. They have assessment coming out of their ears most of the time. And so I'm going to remove this final, but I do want to approach the academic content in the way that I have described previously. I chose this because it is a sore thumb in my course. It does not match the rest of the course design, and I feel like it needs to be upgraded and reimagined. And I feel like it embodies UDL because not only does it meet every student where they are, it seems to give them all options to show comprehension in different ways that will make them more comfortable. It will be more authentic to their learning and gauge their understanding much better than an outdated summative final. Thank you for your attention and time, and I look forward to your feedback on this design flaw identification and my UDL solution proposal.